just waiting for a couple more scheduled roasters, but if you want to participate in the open mic section of the roast, there's a sign-up sheet over here. Please come, put your name down, and we'll start shortly. Thank you.
Alright, buddy. Thanks for coming to the stream. We're just about getting started soon. Gonna mute for a moment. Don't own the copyright to this music and all that jazz. I didn't realize I was going to be able to strap this particular camera setup to my scooter. So we're kind of rolling along here. Much smoother ride than usual though. So, not getting started just yet, but soon. With this thing. I was actually just riding around the park. And that's my story. There's just this thing happening and it looks like it's going to be fun. So hang around for a few. I guess. Alright, meeting again for a little while. Andrew, to answer your question, I don't think there's a march. It's just I think it's just an event that's happening right here. So I'm hoping it's not a march because I'm more ready to just hang around and be entertained. Hello, K variable. So for Twitch, I'm thinking about getting rid of my affiliate status because I'm sick of the pre-roll ads everywhere. So I'm gonna do this thing where I at least like try to run one. It takes a couple of weeks for them to like off-board me from there. Just trying to get better at managing my Twitch stuff. I was assuming there would be like a run ad button in this stream manager. There it is. So, yeah, hang out for an ad. We won't get one for a little while. And sorry to subject your eyeballs to this garbage of advertisement. Oh wow, someone just pointed out in the chat, today is 1 year since Daniel Crude was shot and killed by the police. That was another really difficult one. I might be able to try to go for a ride here. Since we're not moving yet, just, it feels secure. Let's see how it goes. I don't know this copyright. You just sing that copyright defense song or something that just negates everything. I should have kept from I can't remember if this goes all the way around or what. It's going to turn around here in a second. Okay. I think this is the way. So this is the place where we turn around. How about that? It's gonna keep it from bouncing so much. Oh. Just going slow will help. I know we're kind of looking some random direction right now, but I think it's nicer without sound, because then you don't have to hear the wind crap. Sorry, I was just talking to a muted thing for a little bit. But,
anytime you want.
I figured the connection would get bad for a second, but it should be getting better now.
Like a waterfall. You need some TLC, we can creep if you want.
I'm checking in.
Turn your phone.
Gonna mute again for a bit
I'm
because
a savage, but
nothing's happening yet.
Turn the light.
I love these trees. So concrete reporting is live here too. And Chriso will be live soon too. On Halospace as well. Hopefully just the beginning of some more awesome collaborations. Merchandise over here. We'll have to go check out in a minute. That's the bad thing about having the scooter is it can just turning around really is the hard part. Like, oh, I need to face the other way. But I can do all kinds of cool stuff on my stream. Like I can let you listen to OPB while I have this music muted. Okay, the OPB is not playing. Maybe it's muted. I have different ways of controlling these things.
Thank you. And from Closet Factory, locally owned and available to build a custom storage solution for every room in your life, now offering virtual design consultations at closetfactory.com. And from the Portland MBA at Portland State, rejecting the norms of stuffy boardrooms to show the world how different is done. pdx.edu/business.
To answer your question, Sparko, at least one thing that people don't really say more often these days during the chants is our streets. Instead, they say land back, because these aren't our streets. This is stolen land. And I think this being stolen land is pretty straightforward. And if you don't get that, I mean, it's basically the lesson in American history and how the occupiers treated indigenous people and what they did with their land. As a matter of fact, on the Halospace page, there is some more information. So facebook.com/Halospace posted a little bit about the Warm Springs Reservation and what they're dealing with right now, and the kinds of oppression they've been dealing with for generations. One thing that stuck with me that I read earlier today, and I can't remember the context, is just that basically the people who wrote those like federal laws that allowed them to take land away, they I think it was in that video that's on my page actually, they never intended for tribes to last into this century, which is, I mean, unsurprising to most people, right? I don't know anything about the Boulder shooter, so I'm not gonna guess, but I would recommend going to like Agenda Free TV on Facebook. I think he's on YouTube as well. He covers things like this, and he was covering that yesterday. Some music for a minute.
Changes to the state's mandatory minimum sentencing law known as Measure 11. The bill would create judicial guidelines for felonies other than murder. Democratic Senator Floyd Przansky of Eugene supports the bill. He says courts should have more discretion in deciding how long to send someone to prison.
We need to allow the court to take in all factors and all considerations as to making their determination as to what is the most appropriate sentence on a case-by-case basis. And I would assume the court will take all factors, including race, demographics, whatever it may be, in consideration with maybe their life and other experiences.
Opponents say Measure 11 provides assurance to victims of violent crimes. Changing the law would require 2/3 approval in both Oregon's House and Senate. Multnomah County Commissioners today picked Andrea Valderrama to serve as the next state lawmaker representing East Portland in the Oregon State Legislature. Lauren Dake reports.
Valderrama currently serves as the policy director for the ACLU of Oregon. She will fill the remainder of Representative Diego Hernandez's term, which lasts until 2023. Hernandez resigned from the state legislature shortly before he faced an expulsion vote. Lawmakers found Hernandez violated House rules relating to sexual harassment and creating a hostile workplace. Valderrama was perhaps the most familiar name in the candidate pool to replace Hernandez. She ran for Portland City Council in 2018 and chairs the David Douglas School Board. She was also ranked as a top candidate to replace Hernandez by the Democratic Party of Oregon. Lauren Dake, OPB.
A new audit released today points to an issue that could stall Portland's post-pandemic recovery, a slow-moving building permit system. The audit found projects that need permit approval are often hit with long wait times that can stretch from weeks to months. It also found part of the problem in the fractured system, with 7 city bureaus responsible for permitting, along with all 5 members of the city council. Auditors said the system is also inequitable, and those with, quote, resources and connections had an easier time pushing their projects through. This is OPB. Find more news online at opb.org. It's 5:35.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Cyber Reason, a cybersecurity company dedicated to helping companies end cyber attacks on computers, mobile devices, servers, and the cloud. Details at cyberreason.com. From Fidelity Wealth Management, helping clients develop investing strategies for tax efficiency. More at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. And from Americans for the Arts.
It's All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Audie Cornish.
And I'm Ari Shapiro. The flags at the White House are at half staff. At a Senate Judiciary
started soon, but maybe when they said 5 o'clock, they really meant 6 o'clock, which it's understandable. They want people to be able to make it and all that. I know a few people who said they were certain they were going to be late. Oh, and there's Carissa, speaking of. I'm going to be trying to have Carissa stream up in the lower left-hand corner when she goes live. I think if she isn't already, you can tell. We will go say hi, though. Hey. Hey. This is great. Oh, there's the PPB plane, isn't it?
I don't know. It doesn't look like it is playing, that's for sure. Hi, Jack!
How's it going?
I don't see a camera.
Good. 10 minutes. All right.
I accidentally went live earlier.
Okay.
I saw that you, or it was like shared on.
Oh, we can both be live. That's
yeah, but I accidentally went listen about like hating certain things in the movement, and then I looked at it, I was like, oh shit. So hopefully yeah.
Everybody listening.
Even the conversations I've had in the last 24 hours with so many members of my community here in Boulder, there is a palpable sense of frustration and anger and grief and a desire to see us once and for all solve the gun violence crisis that's plagued our communities for decades after decades. And so I look, at the end of the day, I understand that the obstacles that might be in the way, but we have to try. We've lost too many lives already. I think we have to take the steps that are necessary to ensure that our communities are safe.
That may be the sentiment in Boulder, but in Washington, at the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing that I mentioned today, things were already breaking down along predictable partisan lines. If on a day like today, lawmakers cannot put politics aside, how does this issue move forward?
I would say that the proposals that the president talked about earlier today are broadly supported by the American people. And yes, while there may be some in Washington who, for one reason or another, refuse to concede to reality, we shouldn't assume that our political institutions are impervious to public opinion and to the opinions and the values of the vast majority of the American people who want to live in communities that are safe and free from gun violence.
We have reached you today in Boulder, but you are going to head back to Washington as a member of Congress. How will what happened in your district yesterday inform your legislative work going forward?
Well, again, as I said, I think the primary focus for us right now and for our office is to assist the victims and the community that is still very much grieving. It is a shocking, senseless act of violence that happened in our community less than 24 hours ago. It's going to take a lot of time to heal. So we are helping our community do so as we come together. And I know we're a strong community that will be able to ultimately heal from this terrible tragedy. And of course, as I said, I'll continue to push for common sense gun violence reform at the federal level.
That is Democratic Congressman Joe Neguse, who represents the district that includes Boulder, Colorado. Thank you for making time for us today.
Thank you.
Voting is over in Israel, and now the counting is underway. The results will determine the new parliament and whether Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu serves another term. The right-wing leader has served for 12 years straight. He's managed to hold on to his office through 3 other elections in just the last 2 years. And this time, he's being credited by many for Israel's fast rollout of the coronavirus vaccine. NPR's Daniel Estrin joins us now from Jerusalem. Daniel, let's just start with the mood. What are you hearing from voters?
Voters are tired, Audie. This was the 4th election in the last 2 years here, and voter turnout was a bit lower this time. In previous elections, there was a real sense of anticipation and even excitement about a neck-and-neck race, and today I heard none of that. I heard pessimism from voters who want change, who do not like Bibi Netanyahu, that's Netanyahu's nickname. This is Ronit Harpaz.
I'm very disappointed from the government, and we hope that we don't need to be here another time and vote again. We don't want vote again. I think that Bibi will win again, and I don't want this.
Here's a Netanyahu voter, Daniel Zafar.
I think it will be a long journey. Probably Bibi will win, but for him to build a coalition to work with everybody, it's going to be a long journey.
So there's no clear winner yet. Netanyahu is expected to win the most seats in parliament, but he'll still need to build a coalition with other parties to get a majority.
Daniel, 4th election now in 2 years. The last one was just a year ago. How unusual is this? I mean, what is this cycle of elections?
Yeah, Israel isn't really in deadlock, and it all comes down to Netanyahu. He has been on trial for corruption, and not enough parties have been willing to join a government with him. On the other hand, the opposition has just been too weak and too divided to come together and unseat him, and that's why we've seen this deadlock. Last year, Netanyahu had to share power with his centrist opponent, and that opponent was supposed to take over, actually, as prime minister later this year. Instead, Netanyahu forced these new elections so he would get another chance to stay prime minister. And what could help him this time are the vaccines. Many Israelis, no matter what their political affiliation is, give him credit for securing COVID-19 vaccines early. And Israel leads the world today in vaccinations per capita.
Looking ahead, what direction could this election
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hey, Dee. Okay, so since you couldn't hear me before, hi, this is Carissa Dez here at Laurelhurst Park. I'm covering the Ted Wheeler roast. Hi, Cheryl. Hey, did you see where that little bull? Oh, there it is. Looking for dogs.
All right, we got sound back on. We got Ian here, concrete reporting, checking out
We got an American bully dog over here. It's related to pit bull and bulldog. Look at this little baby. Her name is Kissy Face. Oh, so cute. She's obviously a queen. Looks like there's a pretty good turnout here today. The roast will be starting in about 5
He's right. I will be DMC like a motherfucker too if I don't eat it for a little while. So I'll get those.
Can I get your dog in my video? What's your dog's name?
Cammy.
Cammy. She knows her name. Cute. Thank you. We have Total Recall here. Hey, can you tell me a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is Total Recall Portland.
You? Me? We're recalling Ted Wheeler. So we can't start gathering signatures. Thousand signatures. We think it's doable.
News surrounding thousand.
Yeah, people will be excited to be out because it's summer and everybody misses other people.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think we're going to get the signatures and then we think we're going to vote in our office.
So how many do you need minimum to be able to
The minimum is somewhere between it's 47,000 or 50,000. The website, the city's website keeps updating and changing it.
Okay.
But regardless, we think we're going to overshoot
So you want to
anyway.
overshoot a little bit?
We need to overshoot it because there's always issues. And so 65, 70, that's our safe number.
Okay.
I think it's really
All right. So Total Recall Portland, they're trying to recall our mayor.
OSU at last week's meeting. He'd said that OSU has, quote, higher standards than LSU when it comes to handling misconduct. The OSU board, like I had said, had said that one of the conditions of Alexander staying on as president was to come up with that plan to rebuild trust in the community. But as criticism continued to build, board chair Ronnie Borkar this morning said it was clear that that just wasn't going to happen.
When we adjourned last week, we believed it was possible for President Alexander to repair the broken confidence and trust in his ability to lead OSU. After listening to and hearing important input from diverse members of our community, we now know that rebuilding trust is no longer possible.
There had also been calls for him to go from the student government and Sarah Gelser, the state senator who represents the Corvallis area.
And what were the terms of his resignation?
He'll be receiving a lump sum payment of $670,000, which the board said would come from private funds, so not from tuition or tax dollars. He's also having a year of his medical and dental insurance costs paid. Obviously, that's pretty controversial. The student government, in its testimony to the board last week, had said that Alexander should be let go without any severance payment. And that sentiment has echoed with others as well. Board members said that terminating Alexander with cause could end up actually costing way more than just accepting his resignation.
And what happens next?
So the trustees also voted this morning to empower OSU Provost Ed Fazer as acting president while they work through the process of appointing an interim president. At another meeting tomorrow morning, the board is planning on discussing the timeline and process for appointing that interim. I should also note, with this whole situation with Alexander, the board has also gotten a lot of criticism as the governing body that had initially hired him. When the board hired Alexander last year, it used a closed process, so it kept candidate names confidential. And there have been calls for the next presidential search to be open and transparent.
Mira, thank you for your reporting on this.
Thanks.
That was Mira Powell. She's OPB's reporter covering higher education. You can find more of her reporting online at opb.org. It's 5:48, and there's more All Things Considered on the way on OPB. First, some news we're following this evening. The White House says 27 million doses of coronavirus vaccines will be distributed next week. That's more than 3 times the number when President Joe Biden took office just over 2 months ago. The majority of those shots will be given directly to states and jurisdictions to administer, according to White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. The remainder will go to the federal retail pharmacy program and community health centers. We have more online at opb.org. An oil spill is threatening a beloved beach and an important sea turtle nesting site in Lebanon. What some volunteers are doing to save it in 4 minutes. Support for OPB comes from our sustaining members, thank you, and from French American International School, back with in-person classes for preschool to 3rd grade and hybrid learning for 4th through 8th. FAISPDX.org.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Ari Shapiro.
All right. Music is off. It's on.
Wait, hold on.
Screw. Wow. Oh shit. Oh no, don't come off. Well then. That sucks. I'm just gonna detach from the scooter here. It's still attached to the tripod, but not very securely, so.
What? I'm holding the mic. Oh, it's not on. Do you want it on?
Oh.
No.
Oh, and there it goes. I pulled on the cord a little bit, and I think this could be paired though. So. Field repair time. No,
First off,
actually.
one block is coming out.
Oh, nice.
I have hundreds of them. Like, hit the jack! This is shit!
Where can I put it down? I'm not even sure.
Mic check.
Oh, here we go. Started soon.
Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check.
Oh yeah, there's the ride, by the way.
Okay, guys, before we get started, Linnaeus just would like to make an announcement.
Mic check! Mic check! Can you guys hear me? Yes. Hey, before this begins, I'd also like to remind everybody that tonight is also, there is a activist drag show happening at Local Lounge tonight from 7:30 to 10:30. And it's for fundraising for Red House and to also update you on things that are happening there. And also on April 7th, April 7th is the next BLM Art Therapy event at Portland Center Stage, and hope you all make it. And please, 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 please have fun roasting the shit out of our piece of shit mayor. We all hate him. Right. Fuck Ted Wheeler. And fuck his racist girlfriend too, named Jen. Thank you very much.
Alright, here we go. Almost done putting my shit away.
Okay, before we start the roast, I'd like to invite Eliza from the Total Recall PDX over to talk about the recall campaign. Please give it up for Eliza. Thank you.
Hello, welcome. Thank you. You're so great. Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Okay, cool. Here. We are going to recall Ted Wheeler! Yeah! However, we can't do it right now. Boo. We have to wait until July in order to collect signatures to get a recall. Surprise. On all, check out our website. You can donate, you can look at all the different stuff that we're doing, follow all of our social media. And tonight, there is an info session at 7 p.m. that I am hosting. And it's really great. You learn all about why a recall is an amazing tool of democracy, how it's super healthy and puts power back into the people instead of into shitty politicians. Oh yeah. And yeah, please check it out. Yeah, that's kind of all I got for you guys. And also, check out all of our merch that we have. Night Owl Apparel is providing everything at cost, which is insane. So please check it all out. We got buttons, we got stickers, we got shirts, hats, all that cool stuff. Yeah, fuck Ted Wheeler! Fuck Ted Wheeler! No, you're okay.
Okay, if you guys could please give it up for our wonderful hosts, Justin and Creme Brulee.
Hey, can y'all hear me? Did you hear me? Hello. Hello. Louder. What do I do? I'm doing my, hello! This is gonna be fun for me personally. How's everybody doing today? Yes, we hate Ted Wheeler. My name is Creme Brulee. I use they, them pronouns. I'm very happy to be your host today. Give it up for fuck Ted Wheeler. Fuck Ted Wheeler! If I'm being real, I did not know this many niggas would be here. I'm kind of overwhelmed. I hit a CBD pin. Bump block, go get those CBD pins. Chill on them though. Cause you'll be low-key zooted and you'll be like, how? Shit. Yeah, Dustin, do you want to say some words?
Do I want to say anything? I've spent more fucking time in the last 4 days learning about Ted Wheeler than I've ever wanted to spend in my life. Do you guys want to know how bad he is? Do you realize he sucks so bad at what he does now? This motherfucker went to Harvard, he went to Yale, he went to Cambridge, and he still sucks so bad at what he does. But I actually dug really deep. Like, I dug super deep. You guys know, straight up truth. 2 years ago, remember when all that shit went down between Patriot Prayer? Ted Wheeler attempted to become a Proud Boy. I shit you not.
That's facts.
I shit you not. He got to the fourth breakfast cereal, and he got stuck. They're giving him a Charlie horse, and he's going, Apple Jacks. Sorry, Ted, too late. That was, we need more of that. So listen, y'all, I know how much hatred we have for Ted Wheeler. And he said we could go back 40 years. Portland can never have Ted Wheeler, but we're going to have to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Or you can walk. You know what I would say? You know how much I Ted Wheeler for you guys? Well, you're fucked. Hey, we got to take Ted. Do I need Elrad to say it? Damn. This has been deemed an unlawful assembly. Get the fuck up. Gas is coming.
Includes provisions designed to make health care coverage more accessible.
Speaking in Columbus, President Biden said it's his administration's duty not only to protect the Affordable Care Act, but to make it better.
Keep becoming a nation where health care is a right for all, not a privilege for a few.
So next up is Eliza. Hello, make some noise, make some noise.
Thank you. I'm back. Sorry.
All right, this should be better video quality without the jerkies.
That was great. I am here to tell you a story, and it goes a little something like this. Louder? Is this better? Okay, yelling? All right, I'm yelling. I'm doing the best I can. Cool, great, awesome. I have a story to tell you, and it goes a little something like this. There were 3 Cheerios at the bottom of the box. Ted, Dan, and Sam. They each wanted to get to the top of the box, because that's where the pinnacle of white supremacist leadership is. Oh, sorry, I mean the Cheerio party. Ted wanted to go it alone, since he can't do teamwork. One day, he tried to scale the Cheerio box wall, but kept failing. He implemented his brilliant, most effective solution for every issue that comes his way. He put up yard signs that all said, "At least I climbed Mount Everest." Sam was swiping through Grindr when he came across Dan's profile. Odd though, he's way out of Sam's age range. Sam griped to Dan about how if Ted joined them, they would be an unstoppable force to scale the wall and reach power, fame, and fortune. Excuse me, it's really hard to yell without cracking. Per exclusive invitation, Sam, Dan, and Ted met at the Cheerio McMinimans over some tall, frothy glasses of milk. "Think of all the underage aides up there," Sam exclaimed, "and all the reinforced security from the increased CPB budget." That's Cheerio Police Bureau budget. Thank you. I wrote that myself. All right, Ted succumbed. I'll do this with you too if you promise to get me into the governor's office. No problem, they cheerioed. Thank you. The very next morning, the three rose with the sun and strapped on their climbing gear. Are y'all triplets or something? Asked the guide at the base. We get that all the time, Ted said. At exactly 8 a.m., they started climbing the Cheerio box wall. No more than a quarter into their journey, Ted's phone buzzed uncontrollably. "Help! I'm being attacked on Twitter!" he shouted as he flailed and whimpered. In the heat of his tantrum, Ted dropped his phone and it tumbled down to the very base where they started. "We have to go back! How will I keep in touch with my new hot, totally not paid off GF?" "Ted, Teddy, Davis!" The two shook rich little Ted until he stopped crying. "Let's go down and get your phone," they cooed. The three Cheerios scrambled down the rocks and retrieved the device. "I can't be heckled!" Ted screamed. Okay, let's call it a day and try again tomorrow," said Dan. The very next morning, the three rose with the sun and strapped on their climbing gear. "Are y'all working in the best interest of the city or just profiting off of our suffering?" asked the guide at the base. We get that all the time," said Ted. At exactly 8 a.m., they started climbing the Cheerio box wall. They were climbing and climbing, reaching almost a halfway point when a troll appeared. Oh no. "I am the great Antifa. Answer my questions 3, or property destruction will plague thee. Step forward, Cheerio with first names doubled." Dan Ryan nervously approached the troll. "Yes," he shook. "Were you elected fairly?" "Yes, I even got the majority," looking at Ted. "Do you keep your campaign promises?" "Yes." "Wrong! You are banished from this climbing route and must start over." "Woo! Yeah, woohoo!" And in a poof, the three Cheerios were transported back to the base where they first started. The very next morning, they rose with the sun and strapped on their climbing gear. Are y'all endangering every Portlander by continuing your political careers and instead should use your exorbitant amounts of wealth to give land back, fund non-police emergency systems, and ensure we get permanent roofs over all of our heads? Asked the guide at the base. Thank you. We get that all the time, said Ted. At exactly 8 a.m., they started climbing the Cheerio box wall. As the three Cheerios scaled the cardboardy terrain, Ted assured the other two, no other obstacles would get in the way. I used $150,000 from my More Money, Less Problems fund to pay off anyone trying to stop us. Hooray! They cheerioed. The three climbed and climbed, sweating and forming blisters turning into calluses, upwardly failing as their white male privilege rocketed them towards the top. Their little Cheerio fingers clung to the edge of the box, and they hoisted themselves into the biggest and loudest party they could have ever imagined. They made it! Boo! As they entered, they were relieved when they refused to mask up and no one gave them grief. Boy, I sure am thirsty, Sam said. Yeah, me too, said Ted. Just then, he saw the cutest girl Cheerio. Hey, you look like my ex-wife. Oh, you look like a war criminal, she retorted. Can I get you a drink? Where do I get in line for some punch? Slowly backing away, she shouted over the music, oh, honey, there is no punchline. Thank you. Thank you very much. MCs, I'm ready to be swept away. Thank you. Oh, yeah, woohoo!
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey guys, give it up for it one more time. I got caught in a moment when I was up there enjoying my blunt, thinking, I wonder what Ted Wheeler's favorite milkshake flavor is. Peanut butter? Let's get a total. If you think it's peanut butter, raise your hand. All right, hold on. If you think he just enjoys a regular old Andy No milkshake, raise your hand. That is the correct answer here. You guys, your next performer, you guys know this next performer very well. In fact, you may have even heard him talking shit to the feds in the voice of Barack Obama. Chris Wise, come on up, man. I wish I could do that.
It's not that exciting. So, hi, my name is Chris Wise. The police shot me in the head one time. Since then, I've had to write a lot of things down. So I wrote most of this down. I'm sorry about that. My phone will work. iPhones, all right? So, as we can all agree, Ted Wheeler sucks, right? Like a Kirby, man, get it right. Ted Wheeler sucks hard enough that somebody would like walk up to your door and try and sell you a vacuum about how hard Ted Wheeler sucks. But that is not any of the jokes. I did not grow up in Oregon, so I do not know if this is a shared experience between all of us millennials, but like, who was playing Oregon Trail growing up when the teachers were trying to convince us to like, you had computer time because they were worried you just weren't going to figure out how the fuck computers work? So Oregon Trail was a game that we used to have to play for any of you Zoomers. That basically lets you know that white folk, basically lets you tell white folk what to do until all of your friends and family got dysentery. And that is what Ted Wheeler does. It's essentially his MO. Edward Tevis Wheeler looks like he cooks exclusively with unsalted butter. Butter that he would never use on his steamed vegetables, just purely steamed vegetables, sauteing is for pussies. Tevis looks like he drank a Mike's Hard Lemonade one time in college before getting wasted and starting a sentence with, I'm not a racist, but... he has since graduated shitty IPAs and dropping the pre-qualification. Ted Wheeler looks like anthropomorphic mayonnaise. Ted Wheeler looks like he regularly eats at Applebee's. Ted Wheeler looks lactose intolerant from a distance. I'm sure that you have all seen the picture of him tear gas, but he actually didn't get touched by stuff. That's just the first time he ever tried smoking weed. The PPP, if you didn't know, has just under a 4% clearance rate for cases. That is, cases that they get to send to the DA, not cases that somebody was actually guilty. If we account for people who are actually guilty, it's actually about 2%, which is ironic because that's also his clearance rate with the fine woman at christianmingle.com. Or Farmers Only, I don't know what he does. He probably has like a fucking fake Black People Meet account. I'm not sure. Tevis looks like what I imagine the creator of the Bop to look like, which is ironic given that's his policy for mental health intervention. Tevis has a hard time relating to people because his parents actually named him Edward Tevis Wheeler. Really? Yeah, that's his legal name. My name is Christopher Stephen Wise. How the fuck that guy get a name whiter than me? That man's legal name makes him sound like a villain in a made-for-TV Disney Channel original movie, which is once again ironic. Tevis looks like the type of man to ride a police horse with like both of his legs on one side. It's not the correct way to ride a horse, sir. Tevis makes his DJ girlfriend cut the crust off his sandwiches. That's not a joke, that's just a fact. I'm not here to kink shame, but like, Ted Wheeler's persona is a pigeon. Tevis is effectively what we would have gotten if we had all got together and voted in a warm can of Old English for mayor. Tevis is scared of the numbers. Once again, not a joke, just a fact. That joke is also because he's scared of the number of lawsuits against the PPP, but somehow not the number of officers that are somehow functionally illiterate since they can't read a fucking TRO. If you don't know what that is, there's a temporary restraining order that says that they're not allowed to shoot me or any of our fantastic press members. Fucking love you. I'm marrying that guy. Ted Wheeler is the inspiration for the joke that you may or may not have heard me say, where PPP strictly has missionary sex in the dark through a hole in the sheet like God intended, except he's dating a DJ now, so there's probably some sick purple LED lights underneath his bed. I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that that nigga has a fucking Lightning McQueen race car bed that he's just fucking his DJ girlfriend on in missionary position through a hole in the sheet with the lights up.
As God intended!
As God intended! Ted Wheeler regularly eats unflavored rice cakes on conference calls. The last joke I have written is just Ted Wheeler is the fucking Goblin King. Like, answer his riddles 3 and you won't be an arrestee. I don't know. I don't know what he does. I don't know what this man does in his regular life. Just, he goes home, watches Minecraft tutorials for 6 hours, fucking thinks about how confusing black people are with our fucking fantastic hair and propension to making art better. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how the fuck this dude. But anyways, I'm Chris Wise. That's probably my time. We've got a couple people for an open mic. I know that it has been said before, but there is lots of information on how to recall the mayor that you can find by following Recall PDX on Twitter. Did I get that right? Yeah, Total Recall PDX. Yeah? Yeah. Talk to them. Understand how your government works. Be nice to the people around you. I know sometimes that's hard because we're all dicks. I'm a dick. I get it. But try to be nice to the people around you. Try to fucking move forward with contact or kindness. And talk to those people. Talk to them about how you can recall Ted Wheeler, because Ted Wheeler's face looks like fucking... Jesus Christ, that dude looks like unflavored brand wheat. Like, he looks like one of those kids when you were in high school who just poured sugar into the milk before pouring the cereal in after the milk. Like, what the fuck, dude? Did your parents just not let you live your life? I'm gonna get off the mic until somebody help me not tell dumb jokes. Thank you.
I love you!
Once again, my name is Creme Brulee. I'm your host because I'm the only black person who hasn't been canceled. There's been a lot of talk about about Ted Wheeler having a lot of money, and I want to put that to bed right now. Ted Wheeler's worth $1.5 million. I did some research today. Here's 5 people who are worth more than Ted Wheeler: David Blaine, Paula Abdul, Flava Flav, the mayor of Seattle, and Snooki. So that's not really impressive to me. That's not really impressive to me. The next guest we have is somehow the LRAD 2021, baby. What's going on here? What do I do? I'm good?
This is the DJ LRAD with the Portland Police Bureau. This assembly has been declared a roast. Prepare for deployment of spicy burns about Ted Wheeler. Ted Wheeler is so white, he makes Mitt Romney seem like Eminem. Ted Wheeler used to be a Republican. He still is, but he used to be too. I heard Ted got a girlfriend recently. These are 3 dates I'd rather have before I went out with Ted Wheeler. I would rather see the Indy 500 with Brent Taylor. I would rather drink tea with Andy Ngo forever. I would rather be alone in the woods with Alan Swinney and it's dark and raining and windy and very cold and we only have one sleeping bag and he just looks so warm. Thank you. Now it's time for DJ LRAD After Hours. Ted Wheeler is 58 years old and can't find a clitoris. That's the whole joke. Fuck you, Ted. That was DJ Elrad After Hours. Finally, we know you're supposed to say something nice about Ted at the end, so here goes. At least he keeps traveling back in time from the future to try and fix this fucked up city. How else do you think we got Dan Ryan and Sam Adams? Now disperse to the north and the west.
Give it up for the Elrad. Woo! Y'all laugh, but after this summer, I cannot get hard unless I hear that noise. So it's really comforting to be back in that situation. Our next performer is Sin. Woo! Make some noise. There we go. Hey.
Give me a second. Do you mind if I take off my mask? I don't know. This thing, it also. That's not. If it's not tuned, just blame the tear gas. So I tried to write something serious because, you know, he's a war criminal, but I had an existential crisis, so I wrote what I'm calling the Tevisential crisis. It's weird, as it should be. So, tear gas Teddy isn't ready for what's steady. Ain't getting heady. Probably got the COVID. His mama ain't got no vid of the shit that she was fucking, but wait, hold on. No one wants to know about that conception. Edward Tevis Wheeler hits only misdirection. Leading Nazis, fascists up our streets. He owns nothing. That white man is a thief. Land back, fuck off. Kicking Tevis out faster than last year's tax write-off. Tevis wonders to himself, is Daddy really Daddy, or is he just the man who pays for boarding school? Why Papa Mustard Porsche not substitute absent love? But wait, what the fuck, no one cares about that white man's problems. Those rancid affairs, Edward Tevis Wheeler. What is a Tevis? Is a Tevis a queef mixed with a fart that never really happened? Is that what should have happened to this person, whom I cannot dare but call a man, but what is a man if not a Tevis? No, that doesn't sound right. I think that's wrong. A Tevis does as a Tevis is, and a Tevis tear gases an entire town for the sake of fascist fun. But what is fun, and who is this Tevis, and why must we know his name? Edward Tevis Wheeler's a despicable human being that deserves every ounce of hatred you have for him, and much, much more. Oh, Teddy, Teddy Bear, my Teddy Ruxpin, little Edward Tevis Wheeler. What is there to say that has not been said about you? You not cunt-licking, unable to... Sorry, that was offensive to women, and I've been asked not to say that. So why would a woman touch him? It's beyond me that DJ he's fucking? Supposed DJ, the blonde one who pushes buttons. Why would you stoop so low as to allow someone so disgusting to touch you, much less pretend to go down on you, because he does not know how to please anyone, even himself, that's obvious. So, why would you choose to allow him in your life, your bed, your social bubble, and oh, by the way, he's a fucking war criminal. A war criminal. Nazi says what? Stasi says suck my dick. Like, excuse me? Excuse me. Fuck you, Edward Tevis, you fucking twat waffle wheeler. I hate you.
Hey, y'all, give it up for her one more time. I honestly just love hearing the word Tevis. You can just say it over and over and over, and I love it. You guys honestly want to know how bad Tevis's meltdown bad is? You want to know how bad it is? He's already been cast in Borat 3. Hey, is No Shoe in the crowd? What up? No Shoe. Hey, hold on. Before we introduce our next person, I hope you can appreciate his attire. I love it. Yeah, y'all know this man very, very well. Give him a very big fucking round of applause. No Shoe. I can't rock.
Yo, you trying to rock out with me, Dustin? Y'all want to see Dustin up here rocking out? What up, Portland? This is my little song dedicated to Ted Wheeler, you know what I mean? It's all good vibes around here, baby. Ted Wheeler, you know lyrics well. Fuck you in the Portland cars. Ted Wheeler, you can eat my shit. Fuck you in the government. I just pulled up to the roast sesh. Had to leave work cause I'm trying to get a quick snack. Hey, I heard they giving out a big batch, and I like it spicy when they hit me with the tear gas. Yeah, hit me with your best shot one more time. They throwing out shit from 2009. No deodorant, but this that Old Spice with that vintage taste. In my city there's some Nazis, but Dustin, they were uninvited. We just trying to protest, they declared this shit a riot. That's just an excuse for them to go and get violent. I hear these motherfuckers yelling shit over the siren. This is the Federal Protective Services, and we're full of shit. Is our master and we're learners a little bitch. Fingers up, fuck you, Ted. Hey, we don't want you as a mayor anymore. We don't want you as a mayor. Hey, get him up, Mac. I see you backing him up. Hey, we don't want you as a mayor anymore. We don't want you as a mayor anymore. Yeah, Ted Wheeler. I'm in the streets like a fucking drug dealer. A knife slayer and a local wife stealer. So you can tell Katrina that I could get her wet like. Hey, and I'm not being inappropriate. I'm just trying to take the power back on some local shit. They're corrupt, let's expose this shit. I'm just doing what the fuck I can as a vocalist. You know it is. No shoes and I'm taking the stand. Fuck Ted Wheeler, I'm not shaking his hand. That's real shit. It's time we go and fucking unite. Someone call Ted Wheeler, tell him I wanna fight. Cause enough is enough with the bullshit, corruption. Corrupt politicians don't have our best interest. Fuck the whole system. When you see Ted Wheeler, fuck you, Ted. John, I need to see those fingers, baby. Anymore. We don't want you as a mayor anymore. Yeah. What else is that? How you feeling, man? What up, Ted? What up, dog? How y'all doing? What up, man? Yeah. It's all love around here, baby. Fuck Ted Wheeler. Hey. Fuck mayors in general. It's time we take this shit over, baby. Let's get it. I love you, Dustin. Love you, Crimp. Much love to everybody out here.
Yo, hey, before we go anywhere, I know we're here to laugh. I know we're here to fucking just remind ourselves why we're here. But this man right here, I want y'all to remind yourselves. Remind yourselves of the comrades y'all had last summer. Remind y'all of the love we had as a city. I've been through war with this man right here. And when I see my brother, when I see No Shoe, and I see so many familiar faces out here, I remind myself of those battles. And I remind myself that no matter what we are going through today or yesterday, I remind myself that for us to get to tomorrow and to next week, we have to push through these fucking hard times. And it's people like you, No Shoe, it's energy like you that helps us get through these fucking days. So y'all, show each other some love, show each other just I know we can't hug each other, but goddamn, just give each other a little 6 foot That's it. Hey, I think we're gonna take a little intermission, yeah? Yeah. Yeah? Hold on. Y'all know who he is. Hey, let me hear you say, Richard.
Okay, take my mask off for a moment. Okay, folks, as many times I've been to city council, it's obvious who Ted Wheeler, priority is. That when this things get back to normal, he's going to put all this money in restoring all of these banks and to rebuild the downtown core back again. In the rich and the wealthy, those are the only people he cares that are putting money in his pocket. And folks, I'm waiting for that day when they open City Hall to public communications. When that day comes, we are going to overload City Hall from inside to out, and shake City Hall down to the ground. Folks, we have the power. We can gather tons of people and raise a big large march and a big ruckus, and to make Ted Wheeler's life really miserable. We don't need a Donald Trump or an issue. We have the power to gather our numbers just to make shit for Ted Wheeler for the next 4 years of his term. Fuck Ted Wheeler! Fuck Ted Wheeler! Fuck Ted Wheeler! Say it one more time! Richard! We're gonna take a 15-minute break, but I know y'all have been sitting back going, damn, I wish I could get on the mic and talk shit about Ted. Guess what? You can. Come over here, sign up. I don't care if you got one joke. I care if you got 20. Ah, shit. No, but for real. If you guys want to come up, have some fun, come sign up. We'll see you in 15 minutes.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We're gonna hang out here for a little bit.
I'll be back on before the...
See, I got 13 of them. So they're gonna do more music, so I'm gonna let you listen to OPB for a little while again. Thanks for bearing with me, and I'll be back in a little bit. I may or may not turn off the video, I haven't decided, but I'm still here. The stream won't go away.
That shouldn't be an impediment to them investing and continuing to grow the business.
The concern, says Stephen Davidoff Solomon at UC Berkeley, is if rates continue to grow into next year or the following. If rates get too high, he says,
companies won't be able to borrow as much to fund projects. Investment will slow because investment becomes more costly.
Fed Chair Jay Powell said today, although he expects prices to creep up this year, he doesn't think that will have a big or lasting impact on overall inflation. I'm Justin Ho for Marketplace.
As Justin was saying, and just because you will read and or hear about it elsewhere, Fed Chair Jay Powell and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen were up on Capitol Hill today, virtually, of course. The TLDR on that one, too long didn't read, is that Powell, as Justin said, is still not worried about inflation, and that Yellen gave a vague wave toward tax increases perhaps being in the offing. The biggest takeaway, honestly, the IT people at the Treasury Department really got to do something about the Secretary's home Zoom setup. It's not great, I'm telling you. Wall Street today, not a lot of enthusiasm for anything. Really, we'll have the details when we do the numbers. All right, so get a load of this. The housing market might finally be slowing down. We learned this morning sales of new homes were off last month, down 18% from January, pending, of course, the usual revisions. And that comes on the heels of yesterday's news that fewer existing homes sold as well. None of that, however, is for lack of demand. Analysts say there just aren't enough houses, new or old, for sale. And we've told you about the lumber shortage that's slowing down building and driving up prices. But, as Marketplace's Amy Scott reports, wood is not the only thing that builders are having a tough time getting their hands on.
In normal times, Juan David Ortiz could fill an order for a new fridge or dishwasher in 15 to 30 days. He's CEO of Woodcock's Appliances in Miami.
But nowadays, we're looking about 90 days as a minimum.
Even longer if customers want a special size or black instead of stainless steel.
I have customers waiting for over 6 months on a product that has not yet arrived.
Chalk it up to supply disruptions due to COVID and more demand, also due to COVID. Stuck-at-home improvers aren't the only ones waiting. A recent survey by the National Association of Home Builders found that nearly 90% of builders had trouble getting appliances for their new homes. The group's CEO, Jerry Howard, says that's slowing down construction and sales.
You can't finish the house and get a certificate of occupancy until not only are all the appliances installed, but they have to be inspected for safety and workability.
And it's not just appliances. Economist Ali Wolf with research firm Zonda says there are shortages of lumber, windows, and more.
Whether it's cabinets, whether it's doors, whether it's handles, all of these different components are harder to get a hold of and becoming increasingly more expensive.
And builders are passing those costs on to you. Wolf says 98% of those Zonda surveys have raised their prices this month because with all the demand for houses, they can. I'm Amy Scott for Marketplace.
The Marketplace word of the day this Tuesday is overstored. Overstored, an economy that has more stores than can be justified by the size of the shopping public. The vocabulary lesson is prompted by this, a report from Coresight Research that says retailers are planning to open far more stores than they're going to close this year. And we found that curious, given that a whole lot of people have a newfound love for shopping online. So why then would retailers invest in brick and mortar at a time like this? Marketplace's Mariel Segura covers retail for us.
When retail analysts say the U.S. is overstored, that's because we have way more retail square footage per person than other countries. Mark Cohen at Columbia Business School says, to be fair, the U.S. population is really spread out.
But the disparity is extraordinary. It's 10 or 20 times what you would see elsewhere in the world.
So, okay, maybe not the best environment in which to open even more stores. But let's look at the retailers planning store openings this year. Dollar General, Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, sensing a trend. Also, Five Below, Burlington, Payless, discount stores.
Their business has been booming. They're taking advantage of enormous real estate opportunities.
Real estate opportunities because last year, a lot of retailers closed stores. Ricardo Belmar owns the retail advisory firm Retail Razor.
Landlords who experienced stores closing on them and lost tenants in 2020, they want to fill that space, so they're likely to make the cost more attractive.
Also, for certain kinds of retailers, stores are just part of the strategy. Online can't replace them. Dick's Sporting Goods is opening 16 stores this year. The company's CFO, Lee Belitsky, says customers can do things at a Dick's store that they can't online. Try on the clothes, obviously, but also
they can go into the golf simulator and try out golf clubs
We have hit tracks in our stores, which is a baseball batting cage that measures the statistics associated with your swing.
Dick's just opened a store in Rochester, New York that has a climbing wall and an artificial turf field. It's experiential retail. Yeah, that's coming back. Because we're all pretty sick of our houses at this point. I'm Mary El Segura for Marketplace.
Should you be in need of business and economic news early tomorrow morning? Deborah Boncaccio and the gang on the Marketplace Morning Report. Check it out. We talked Friday about my feeling that we are kind of, sort of, maybe turning the corner. Here is another indicator from the biggest city in this economy. News today from Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, that all city workers are going to be required to return to the office. That is, like in person, come May 3rd. About 80,000 municipal employees have been working remotely for a year now. Thing is, with all the variants and a whole lot of people still not vaccinated and herd immunity still proving elusive, and just, anxiety about everything, getting America back to the workplace is a tad fraught. Marketplace's Brie Benishore has more.
Herd immunity. In epidemiology, it's the point at which enough people are immune to a disease that its spread is basically stopped, effectively protecting the whole population. So if we can just hit that number, the country, businesses could know it's safe to reopen. The problem is that it is not a magic number, and it isn't just one number at all.
Small changes in your assumptions, small changes in the way the disease is actually spreading in the population can lead to wildly different possible trajectories.
Dr. Samuel Scarpino directs the Emergent Epidemics Lab at Northeastern University. For COVID, predictions of what it'll take to reach herd immunity vary wildly. By some estimates, only 15% of people need to be immune. Other estimates say 90%. That range is so huge because herd immunity is a calculation. And part of the math in there is about how the virus spreads. So anything that changes how the virus spreads is going to change your answer.
So, for example, the herd immunity threshold for a population that is wearing masks and engaging in some measure of physical distancing is very different from one that is not doing either one of those things.
And all of this means that there won't be just one moment or one benchmark for when a given office can reopen. Dr. Gigi Granval is a senior scholar at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security.
Every building is different and every workplace and procedures are different. So you have to make your own plan for sure.
So this ambiguity around when to bring people back to work is something employers are starting to digest. They are going to have to figure out what to do for themselves.
Often it's going to depend on the area in which the business is located.
Amber Clayton is director of the Knowledge Center at the Society for Human Resources Management, or SHRM.
The employer is going to want to follow state, local laws that pertain to opening businesses. They'll also want to look at the COVID cases within their particular areas.
Another issue is, of course, how employees feel.
We've run polls.
Christopher Gavigan is founder of Prima, a plant-based health and wellness company. It, like many companies, is trying to take the pulse of their workforce.
And it ebbs and flows. World events, on the realities with this pandemic.
So if employee comfort is one of the main issues, one of the obvious things that will make a lot of employees feel comfortable is getting the vaccine.
Based on what we know, I think we will require it.
Legally, employers can do that. They can mandate getting vaccinated, according to Karen Elliott, a partner at Eckert Siemens law firm in Richmond.
But with a caveat of religion and ADA concerns.
Employees can refuse on religious or disability grounds. Again, Amber Clayton with SHRM.
Some states have actually proposed legislation to not allow employers to require vaccinations. Right now, our research shows that more employers are actually encouraging it rather than requiring it.
As of January, only 5% of employers were going to require the vaccine, according to SHRM's survey. 35% were unsure, and 60% were not going to require it. Those numbers may change. And even if employers do bring people back to the office, that doesn't mean back to normal. There may still be safety rules around COVID. Laura Stock is director of the Labor and Occupational Health Program at UC Berkeley.
Which might mean ensuring that everyone wears a mask inside, that physical distancing
is possible, that sanitation is occurring, that schedules are adjusted so that that there's not everybody taking lunch at the same time.
But are we really going to still be doing this even when vaccinated?
A lot of these recommendations are going to be changing, but I think we have a ways to go before we can throw these recommendations out.
Which is all to say, the world of work changed almost overnight back in March of 2020. It will take much longer than that to go back to normal, whatever normal now means. In New York, I'm Sabri Benishore for Marketplace.
Coming up.
Birthday cards, those sell well all year.
Well, I mean, every day is somebody's birthday, right? First, though, let's do the numbers. Dow Industrial subtracted 308 points today. That is 0.9%. Finished at 32,423. Did the blue chips. The NASDAQ retreated 149 points, 1.1%, 13,227. The S&P 500 fell 30.7%, landed at 39.10. Amy was telling us a little bit about how the shortage of appliances is contributing to the housing shortage. Also in short supply, as we alluded to, not enough homes. In February, there were about 312,000 new homes for sale. The government figures that at the rate they are selling, that is about a 4.8-month supply. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy outlined changes to the USPS as part of a 10-year reorg plan today. Longer delivery times, higher postage rates. In its 10-year plan, the Postal Service says package revenues jumped from nearly $23 billion in 2019 to $28.5 billion during the last pandemic year that we had. Bonds rose, yield on the 10-year T-note down to 1.62%. You're listening to Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by C3.ai. C3.ai software enables organizations to use artificial intelligence at enterprise scale, solving previously unsolvable business problems. Learn more at C3.ai. And by Charles.
It's 6:47, and you're listening to Marketplace on OPB. Oregon Governor Kate Brown has announced a 10-point economic recovery plan that aims to help families and businesses across the state, with a focus on people of color impacted financially by the pandemic and 2020 wildfires. Brown said the state is slated to receive $6.4 billion in funds from the COVID-19 stimulus package. That story is online at opb.org. Support for OPB comes from our members, thank you, and from Peace Health, providing care to Northwest families for more than 125 years, from annual physicals to heart care to vaccinations. Learn more at peacehealth.org. Mostly clear tonight, some clouds moving in later on tonight, lows in the mid-30s to 40s, mid-20s along the mountains. It's 6:48.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Risdall. Tax day has been pushed back a month. That you probably know. May 17th is the deadline now. Far less known, though, and it has been happening for decades, is the way the tax code in this economy discriminates against Black Americans. Dorothy Brown is a professor of law at Emory University, where she has been studying tax policy and race for years. Her new book on exactly that topic is called The Whiteness of Wealth. Professor Brown, welcome back to the program, man.
Thank you.
I want to start almost at the beginning of this book. In the introduction, you give a brief anecdotal open, I think, is the format you've chosen to start this book. And you basically explain why you wanted to write this book. And you say, and I'm quoting you to yourself here, tax law was about math, and I was sure I'd chosen a career where race had nothing to do with my work. I have never been more wrong about anything in my life, you say. Explain that.
So I grew up in the South Bronx. I dealt with racism every day. I didn't also want to deal with racism at work. So I thought I picked an area of law that had absolutely nothing to do with race. And lo and behold, I find race is everywhere, including the Internal Revenue Code.
Okay, now tell me, with that as a setup, tell me about your parents' tax returns.
As a good daughter, once I got my master's in tax law, I did their tax returns. I'm making the income that both of them made myself. And I'm thinking I should be paying a whole lot more than they are, but it didn't work out that way. And you know, I'm a math geek, so the numbers didn't add up and didn't make sense. It wasn't until I became a law professor and read an article that said, how do you know there isn't a race and tax issue if you don't look? Now, easier said than done because the IRS doesn't collect or publish statistics by race.
Okay, stop right there. And I know I'm cutting you off in your story, but that to me when I read it was mind-boggling. I need you to say it again and then help us understand the implications of it.
Yes, the IRS does not collect or publish statistics by race. So we will never know if the tax law has a disparate impact based on race if we wait for the IRS, right? Because they don't give us the data. So I became a detective of sorts, and I would read anything I could get my hands on that would be a good proxy for taxable income. And I came across an article that said Black wives contribute significantly more to household income than white wives. And the light bulb went off.
Yeah.
My mother and father were both full-time workers and contributed roughly equal amounts to household income. The typical white married couple has one spouse earning significantly more than the other. That couple gets a marriage bonus. But Black couples like my parents, no tax cut. And for decades, their taxes went up because they were married to each other. And that's what the law required.
Now, why does the law require that? Is it because it was written by mostly white men who were inculcated in the white ways of finance? Is that the deal?
Well, that's the short answer. But
sorry, I guess I answered my own question.
Yeah, but how we got there was through the joint return. So through a white married couple lens, where the husband worked in the paid labor market, the wife was a stay-at-home spouse, they got a tax cut.
Okay, so let's get out of the joint tax return and marriage and into some other ways that the tax code is systemically racist, I guess, right? And that's That's it goes to gifts and inheritance and property. All of that stuff is different based on the way this economy works in the tax code, right?
Yes, and what my research over 25 years has shown is any tax provision that I've looked at, there's been a racially disparate impact. So let's take jobs. First of all, Black Americans are disproportionately found in jobs that don't come with tax-free benefits like health insurance or retirement accounts. But even when you have a Black American in a job with those tax-free benefits, they have different tax consequences or different financial situations than their white peers. So you could take two people with six-figure incomes. They work right next to each other. The Black college graduate is sending after-tax dollars home, whereas their white peer is getting down payment assistance from grandma. Their student loans are being paid off. All of those financial transfers received by those white taxpayers are tax-free.
Right. Let me just round it out here. When you made this discovery about your parents' tax returns and you got your mom on the phone, what'd she say?
Wow. When I sent my mother a draft, she said, they owe me and James reparations. And my mother has never used the R word before. She couldn't believe how unfairly she and my father had been treated.
A whole lot more people are going to hear about it once they hear about this book. Dorothy Brown is a professor of tax law at Emory University. Her most recent book about race and the tax code in this economy is called The Whiteness of Wealth. Professor Brown, thanks for your time, ma'am. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mario was talking earlier about retail and how many new stores are opening up and whether there's enough demand for all that to go around. Well, for today's installment of our series, My Economy, we called a more established retailer to see how things are going. Annie Lang Hartman runs a stationery business in Leland, Michigan. It's called Compass Paper Company.
We are thinking about pent-up demand a lot. And I've actually added quite a few products to our product line this year, just because we also have a physical retail space that's opening up in May. In northern Michigan, we did have a busy tourism season last year, and knowing that people are going to feel a little bit more comfortable being out and about this year, we have focused a lot of energy into adding new products. Birthday cards and kind of our love and friendship cards, which would be like, cards for friends or cards for anniversaries, those sell well all year. But last year, our kind of thinking of you or sympathy cards just took off, which I know it sounds really bad, but ours aren't like, I'm sorry for your loss. Ours are kind of more cheeky and funny, kind of like we're in this together or just that kind of thing. So we saw a huge bump in that for direct to consumer, but also for retailers. So we've been sending out thousands of those. I don't see that trend going away, anytime soon, but yeah, that definitely changed this past year.
That was Annie Lang Hartman. She runs Compass Paper Company up in Leland, Michigan. So we need you to make this series work, right? So help us out if you could. Tell us how your economy is doing. There's a spot you can do that at marketplace.org. This final note on the way out today, which is, to be clear, an endorsement. The new CEO of Citigroup, Jane Fraser is her name, sent out a company-wide memo yesterday afternoon. Effective Friday and every Friday thereafter, no more in-house Zooms, people. Go on screen with clients and regulators if you must. But if you need to do a Friday team meeting or something, get on the phone. The relentlessness of the pandemic workday, Fraser said, has taken a toll on our well-being. Tough to disagree, right?
Marketplace is supported by Expanse, a Palo Alto Networks company used by enterprises for attack surface management. Expanse knows your attack surface so you can own it before someone else does. And by the University of Florida. Learn how artificial intelligence is preparing students for the modern economy.
Put it on the bucket list! Now you're wondering how white is Ted Wheeler? Ted Wheeler is so white that when it came time for him to escape the naughty Antifas and move out of the Pearl, he's so white the only place he could think of to move was further in the Pearl. That's pretty fucking white. Ted Wheeler is so white, he thinks the best basketball player of all time was John Stockton. That's pretty fucking white. Ted Wheeler is so performative that he started calling his teapot his kettle, just so he could feel like a boss again. So I looked up Ted Wheeler and somebody else. Let's go to history. Like I'm a Republican, so it was time for office. That's how you know you're an secretary right there. Anyway, Stanford got a Columbia goes masters of business. Harvard got his policy masters. Getting on. Then he went to work for Copper Trust Money Business. Then he worked for B of A. Then he became the county commissioner, which is all about money. Then he became the state treasurer. More fucking money! If you want to know what Ted Wheeler's about, that's it. Money. His whole life has been about fucking money. The rich white dude likes money. Do you get it yet? This is what Ted Wheeler is about. Ted Wheeler is so into money when he says, hey, when you move to this country, you speak the language. He's talking about money. The only language Ted Wheeler understands. He's so into money, he's going to change the Welcome to Oregon elk sign to Welcome to Oregon, Californians. Hey, Ted Wheeler, I have a riddle for you. If your family buys the last old growth tree and if there's no more animals of any kind there in the forest to listen as the last old growth tree falls, does it make a noise, Ted Wheeler? Yes, it's fuck, Ted Wheeler. The answer, of course, is, who gives a fuck? I'm rich! All right, two more here. Why did Ted Wheeler jump out of the huge tree? Why? He heard he would get his integrity back when pigs flew. Almost, Ted. You get it back when you land. I highly recommend you trying that. And then I tried to figure out one last summation statement I can make about Ted Wheeler. Ted Wheeler is so white. And I searched and I finally came to some kind of conclusion. This is my final summation of Ted Wheeler. Ted Wheeler is so white. He thinks that black people owe him reparations. Why does he think this? Ted Wheeler is so white that he thinks he's owed back royalties on blues music. Because did not the white man provide the very repression that made the blues subsequently possible? That's how fucking white Ted Wheeler is! Next time you pick up a fucking pen, all you liberals within sound of my voice, vote the fucker out! The rest of us will be smashing windows because that's about money! And that's the only fucking language that Ted Wheeler can fucking understand! So that's why we break your fucking windows! Round of applause for Andy Tifa. If you would like to send me reparations for that, my Venmo is at Kimberly PDX. Our next performer is Marco the Magnificent. Hey, good. I think it's the pier or something. No, we out. Marco. Paul. Alright, certified freak. 7 days a week. That wants to see.